So the Challenge Cup, I'm originally from Widnes, so we watch a lot of the Widnes games, and I always love the Challenge Cup. I love the fact that an underdog could potentially make it to Wembley, and that's what I love. I always support the underdogs, the community clubs. I think that's really good that they get a shot to be in the Challenge Cup. And when we were a community club, you always inspire to be a Super League club. The Challenge Cup is the one where any underdog can win that. We had a really successful team at Thaterweath, and it was led by Jenny Welsby, someone I really inspired to be like, to be as good as her. She was a phenomenal athlete in every way, like nutrition was on point, strength and conditioning was on point, just how she led a squad, and I just wanted to be as good as Jenny. I played in the house with her, so we had really successful years, 2014, 15 and 16. We were both Challenge Cup winners and Grand Final winners. There was a real battle between Thaterweath and Bradford at the time. They were the two top teams before Featherstone come in. I think we played Featherstone in the last Challenge Cup as a Thaterweath squad, and it was quite a big scoreline. To play Bradford, I think it was that rival team you always wanted to meet in a final, and when we used to get there it was always a competitive game. They used to bring quite a lot of a crowd, and Thato always had a good following as well. So in 2014 we just won the Challenge Cup, and then my phone rang and I was on shift at the time and I was a bit like, oop. So I answered it, and it was Chris Chapman, who at the time was the England coach. He just took the girls to the 2012 World Cup and was in the next cycle towards the 2017 World Cup. And he asked me to come on board with England, and at the time I didn't really give him an answer. I think I was a bit shocked and overwhelmed, and for someone to believe in us so much when the facilities probably wasn't there, the funding wasn't there, and strength conditioning and physio, it wasn't around at that time. And for him to believe, now he must look back and think, wow, these girls who have believed in and put that time and effort in could be playing at Wembley in 80 minutes.
Every player deserves that moment at Wembley, and it's fantastic that every woman gets to play at Wembley now, and that's a big thing. But particularly for Faye, 2 years of hard work, all those times in the gym, all the energy and effort she's put in, it'd be fantastic. And for me to see it, it's just great. It's nice to see players succeed and be successful, and let's hope she gets that opportunity.
After the World Cup in 2017, it was announced that the WSL was going to be on the rise, and St Helens had mentioned that they wanted a women's team, and naturally it would be. Thaterweath would move over to St Helens, and it was a bit of a like, wow, we're essentially going to be professional athletes. Yeah, not paid yet, but we're going to be in that professional environment all the time. And when I started at 6 years old, I looked at the lads and I knew when they were progressing through the Saints ranks, I was like, I'm proud of them for doing it. And I never ever thought as a woman I would get to where the lads have gone.
This is the first real danger from St Helens. Gaskin out wide, there's Danny Bush with the try, the first one of the 2021 Women's Challenge Cup final.
I was so excited to be in this final, and you have all your family in the stands watching, and then we scored our first try, and stupidly I jumped in the air and then fractured my kneecap, my tibia, and it ended. Well, it was a career ender. I spoke to the surgeon and I had surgery like within 7 days. The club had sorted my surgery out because it was a bit of a mess, my leg really. But yeah, they told me it was a career ender, and I just remember watching the girls lift that Challenge Cup, and in my heart it didn't feel the same. Like, I was so proud that we'd done it, but you don't feel a part of it really. You build up for that. You want to just win that Challenge Cup, and then your heart just breaks.
Looks like she's struggling to weight bear on one of the legs.
So we had 2 years of rehab, and it was kind of hard. So there was never really a marker. I just had to make sure I could move without pain through my knee, and then it sort of become the norm that some days I would be able to walk and some days I wouldn't, and more of a mental battle probably than a physical battle. But equally, I couldn't jump, like the fear of jumping again. I just couldn't jump, I couldn't run, I couldn't change direction. So I spent 18 months doing rehab, and it got to a point and I was like, I'm not sure we'll return. And I had a bit of a breakdown really, a real big setback mentally, and I didn't really have any worth anymore. That's how I felt with everything. So I hit a really dark point, and then I was like, come on, just push, like try and push now. And it got to a point I was sat there in bed one day and I was just like, why? And then something come out. I think Tom Rindles announced the women's game would go to Wembley, and it was just that click. And I've got a niece at home, and I always want to inspire her. I want to be around female role models, strong role models. Not saying she'll ever be a rugby player, I don't think she's interested in that, but I wanted to see strong females, and that was my goal. So I was like, Wembley's on the cards. What what am I going to do? So I worked really hard for the 2 years, and this year was finally the year I got back on the pitch.
Finds Gaskin. Gaskin moves it wide. They've got the numbers. They need one more pass and they're going to score surely. Big dive, and Lucy McCorm is over. Gaskin will take it in. And Faye Gaskin, back after 2 years out, has played a huge part. Big celebrations for her. What a moment it's been, what a journey it's been for her. But her teammates have been fantastic.
Everyone talks about what's it going to be like, and I just think, I get this, like, I feel sick. I feel sick at the thought of walking out at Wembley and looking up and seeing my niece, my mum, my dad, my family, my partner stood there, and to walk out at Wembley, again, a double header against the men, to see that cup sat there when you walk out in front of it, it's what dreams are made for.